What's going on, folks? So today I'm going to be checking out a band called Soundstorm, and the name of this song is Over the Distance. So, yeah, without further ado, let's just get in there and give it a listen, shall we? Rangers, go. the male vocalist, he looks like King Leonidas. So I kept expecting him to this is Sparta. That would be sick though. That dude, I really like his voice. Like he's got like a nice kind of he can do some like high notes, but like in an aggressive kind of powerful way. Like it'd be sick if he did that. Like this is Sparta. Way better than that, obviously. But yeah, I think y'all know what I'm getting at here. But yeah, so that was tight. And yeah, I just really dig his voice. Really, really cool. It's an interesting song here. It has even like an interesting layout to it. I feel like it had an extended intro instead of having kind of like a formal like bridge and things like that. It just has a very kind of interesting layout. And I mean, the whole song itself is relatively unorthodox with the approach. Definitely a lot of kind of prog influence in there. With just the nature of like the riffs, the timing of things, the rhythm of it, the intricacies of stuff, and yeah, I mean just kind of forsaking a typical standard format for the song. So that was interesting. I really love that intro. The keyboard, I really love the keyboard in this song. That was probably like the highlight for me. Was the keyboard, the way the song really kind of starts out, and just nice focus on the keyboard. And then the guitars come in, and then the keyboard kind of changes it up a little bit while still sprinkling in like some nice, colorful notes in there and stuff. And yeah, I mean, that was just really, really cool. So I dug that. And yeah, I mean, I like the guitar riff, again, a bit like unorthodox with like the approach and the way it is, but I was kind of vibing with it, even though, and I've told y'all a million times, when things drift a little bit too much into like prog territory, I tend to get lost a little bit. I'm a simple fella, so that stuff, it can, yeah, I don't know, I get like overwhelmed, I guess it is. So, but yeah, I was kind of like vibing with it. With the guitar riffs and all that good stuff, but I started getting lost like in the verses. I think I like her voice and I like the guy's voice, but I think my biggest like gripe with this song is that it ends up feeling a little bit too chaotic, for me anyway. So it seems like because you have this kind of unorthodox, kind of intricate sort of rhythm and riffs and musical kind of approach and stuff, that once the vocals come in, like not only just in the verses, it gets a little bit more melodic. I could start kind of like feeling on board with it there, like in the chorus, a bit, but just a lot of it feels like there's too much vocals. Like there's just too much between her and him. There's just a lot of vocals going on in here, and I feel like that ends up kind of clashing a bit with the music, because you already have this kind of slightly tricky to follow kind of rhythm and format of the music and all that stuff. So you have this going, and then all of a sudden you're kind of being onslaughted by a lot of vocals, a lot of words, a lot of vocals, a lot of things happening there where it's like, wow, what was something, again, this is just for me, folks who really like prog and, all the different little nuances and things that are happening a lot. Y'all probably, were loving this and can follow it like easy peasy. But like for me, it just ended up feeling a bit too overwhelming. Like what started as something that was a bit complex, but I was kind of like following it, ballooned into something just overly complex that I got lost. Like again, it just felt like really, really overwhelming to me, and I think a large part of that is because of like the sheer amount of vocals and stuff on top of what is already kind of like complex. So I think maybe it would have benefited the song a bit to kind of tone down the amount of vocals, make it a little bit more like deliberate, a little bit more nuanced with how it is, instead of so kind of rapid fire. I think that would have created maybe a nice balance between the complexity of the music and then maybe a little bit more of a, again, what's the word I'm looking for? Something approach, like a more, as they say, less is more. It just feels like, if the vocals were just toned down just a little bit, the melodies were a little bit more spread out, things like that. I that might have created a really nice balance between the two, because as it stands, there's just a lot of like vocals on top of already complex stuff, and so I just really kind of got lost. Especially there, like in the verses and all that good stuff. But then there's like a glimmer in the chorus where things kind of get a little bit more melodic, and I was kind of following that. But then again, it kind of keeps going with just a lot happening, to where it became really, really difficult for me to follow. So yeah, and I mean the rest of the song kind of plays out that way. But then towards the end there, you kind of get like the keyboard kind of shining again, and the vocals are a little bit more kind of melodic and not as just bum 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 bum, and so I thought that was a kind of a nice way to end the song. It felt kind of calming, like, oh, okay, cool. They're not gonna like just leave me hanging, keep things just going crazy and just like throw me off the cliff. It kind of like settled me down there at the end, so that was nice. It's like they kind of gently set me back down, instead of just like chucking me over the cliff. So yeah, I appreciate that. But yeah, so that's kind of my take. A lot of talent here, really solid musicianship. Love the keyboards. But all this stuff, the drum work, all that stuff, I mean, all this intricate stuff happening and different shifts and stuff, it's impressive, really impressive. Again, I like the vocalist, but it's like the song itself, it ended up just being a little bit too much, for me to really kind of wrap my head around. So, yeah, I mean, that's pretty much my thoughts on this. Let me know, folks, in the comments down below. What do you think of this song here? Were you following it nicely, or do you like those kind of intricate, proggy kind of things, or were you like me and got a bit lost in the shuffle with this? I'd love to hear y'all's thoughts, so let's talk about it. I'll catch you next time. Ranger. Out.